The NFL season is now just months away, and so many teams have made so many changes that some teams have got lost in all the chaos and aren't being talked about at all. Some major moves that happened over the last few months include Stefon Diggs getting traded to the Texans, Juedy to the Browns, Marvin Harrison Jr. being drafted to the Cardinals, all the QBs that were taken with the top 10 picks of the draft, and so much more. But this one team really stands out to me, and I think they are about to shock the world with the season they're gonna have. And that team is the Arizona Cardinals. So let's talk about what changes they made over the past offseason. It started off with them finding out they would be drafting 4th overall in the NFL draft, which for them was just as good as the number 1 pick because they didn't need a QB and the 3 teams in front of them did. So because of that, they were able to get what to me was by far the most talented player in the draft in Marvin Harrison Jr., who carried an Ohio State team that had a mediocre QB in Kyle McCord under center, who was actually his own high school teammate. Then on March 14th, the Cardinals got busy agreeing to terms with offensive tackle Jonah Williams on a 2-year deal. They signed corner Sean Murphy-Bunting to a 3-year deal, they signed a few defensive linemen in Justin Jones, and by Leal Nichols, they signed Mack Wilson, who I know is a great value player as a Browns fan, and they also acquired Desmond Ridder to be a backup quarterback option with a good amount of upside. Jonah Williams will immediately jump into being a starter on this team, protecting Kyler Murray, and that is a very important job on any team, but more specifically when you have a short mobile quarterback like Arizona has. He can play both left tackle and right tackle, and adding Williams to the mix, joining Paris Johnson Jr., Arizona's first-round pick last year, gives them 2 possible left tackles and 2 possible right tackles. It'll take an offseason of evaluating the 2 at both positions before a decision is likely to be made on who plays where. Another move they made was adding the former Seattle Seahawks running back DJ Dallas by signing him to a 3-year deal, which is actually a pretty long commitment for a guy like him. So the Cardinals likely found their next return man while also adding a possible backup for James Conner. Dallas returned 62 kickoffs for 1,474 yards and 39 punts for 367 yards in 4 seasons with the Seahawks. This was one of those moves that really had 0 risk to it as long as he can hold on to the ball as a returner. Now the next guy I want to talk about is Chris Moore, the former Titans receiver who signed a 1-year deal. He will add more depth, experience, and leadership to the receiving room. He has the versatility to play in the slot or outside, so Izzy will be able to move him around without much hesitation. Last season, Moore ran 66% of his routes out of either outside receiver position. In Arizona, he'll likely end up as a role player, providing depth in 4 and 5 wide packages. But he will be a threat every time he's on the field. He averaged 19.3 yards per reception last season over in Tennessee. Now for the next move the Cardinals made, I want to talk about defensive tackle Justin Jones, who agreed to a 3-year deal. Jones is another piece to the Cardinals' defensive puzzle, but he's a big one at that, not just physically. However, yes, Jones is 6'3" and 309 pounds, but his impact on the Cardinals' defense may end up being bigger. He had 7 sacks in the last 2 seasons with the Chicago Bears and has a nose for getting to the quarterback. With Arizona tallying just 33 sacks last season, any time spent in the backfield is time well spent for this team. There was so many more moves that I could talk about as well, but I don't want to bore you. I want to get into what everyone is curious about and why you probably clicked on this video. Just how are the Cardinals going to shock the world this season when they literally just 2 months ago were a bottom feeder team? And my answer to that is 2 words and 1 name: Kyler Murray. I feel like he does not get the rep he deserves, and if it wasn't for injuries, we would be talking about a top 7 quarterback in this league. So many people forgot that in 2021, he nearly threw for 4,000 yards with an over 100 QBR. And even last season when he returned, the Cardinals offense completely turned things around. So what will we get this year with him under center, a slightly improved offensive line, a solid running back room, and an exciting young receiver taken in the top 5 of the draft? I think it's safe to expect the unexpected. So let's look at the schedule on the Cardinals' plate, because they do have a pretty rough start to the season that could make or break how things go early on. The first game of the year is against the Buffalo Bills. Nobody really has a grasp on what the Bills will be this year with how many players departed over the offseason, but at the end of the day, they have Josh Allen and are still expected to win the division. They will be on the road for that game, and we all already know how hard it is to play in front of Bills Mafia, especially in a home opener. But if the Cardinals can find a way to win this game, I think it will most definitely start the season off on the right foot. Week 2, they will also stay on the road, but this time it's a little closer to home at SoFi Stadium against the Rams. And those LA games are basically like half home games because most of the fans in attendance are on vacation, so I don't see that being a factor. But the Rams do have Matthew Stafford, and their receiving core is going to be absolutely nasty with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, as well as all the other talent they have that doesn't get talked about. But like I said, this is a winnable game, and I think the Cardinals absolutely have to win either week 1 in Buffalo or this game against the Rams. Because if I'm being real, I don't think week 3 against Detroit is a winnable game at all, not with the Cardinals' youth and inexperience. But then in week 4 they get to play Washington, a team with a brand new QB and Jaden Daniels, and this may be the first game of the season the Cardinals will be favored in, and it's one I expect them to win. So with what I think will be a 2-2 record, Arizona will then go on the road to play the 49ers. I mean, that's a pretty obvious loss, and then they play the Packers the following week, so that puts them at 2-4. But then they get the Chargers, and with their backs against the wall in a must-win game, I think the Cardinals get a close win. Even though I am unfortunately a big believer in Jim Harbaugh, and I also think Justin Herbert is special, but they just don't have the skill position talent. The following 2 weeks, they have to play the Dolphins and Bears. I can't say which one will be a win and which one will be a loss, but I have the Cardinals splitting this little series, and then with a 4-5 record, they will play one of the most important games of the season against the New York Jets. I think the youth under center and Kyler Murray will outproduce what Aaron Rodgers can do, even though the Jets do have an elite defense. So I think the Cardinals escape to get their record back to 500. And now with 7 games left in the season, things start to get a little bit easier. So even if my prediction was wrong, and Arizona is 4-6 at this point, or something like that, I don't think the season is completely over, and there is still a chance for redemption. They play Seattle on the road. I'm gonna say that is a close loss. Then they play the Vikings. I'm higher on the Vikings than a lot of people this season, but I'm gonna give the Cardinals a win in this game because I think they will be pissed coming off that Seattle loss. And then in week 15, the Cards will get to play Seattle again at home in a rematch, and I have them squeezing out a 1-possession win to get 1 game above 500 with 4 games left in the season. And then to finish out the year, they play the Patriots and Panthers, which I have as 2 wins to get Arizona 3 games over 500 and feeling pretty good about themselves. But then they play the Rams and 49ers again to finish out the season, which I have as both losses, to finish out the year with a 9-8 record, which I think most people would view as a pretty successful and shocking season out of this franchise, regardless of if it's enough to sneak into the wild card or not. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about that prediction and what games you think they will win or lose that I didn't put down. And outside of the actual game-by-game season, I really do think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to develop a special connection with Kyler Murray in year 1, easily winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, and honestly, with him being the main target, he has the chance to put up some historical numbers. Here's what the media has to say about Maserati Marv.
This man is compared to guys like Larry Fitzgerald, Devontae Adams. Renner, who do you compare him to, and what do you think of him at 4?
I think his game's similar to like an AJ Green, but he really is a one of one. I mean, when I watched his tape, it was like watching his father, but 6'3", 209. And his dad was like 6 foot, 185. You know, like he has a different element to his game that his dad never did, and that he could win at the catch point. I mean, he is the best collegiate route runner I've ever seen.
Quickly talking about the defense, the run defense was the Cardinals' biggest weakness during the 2023 season. Arizona gave up 143.2 rushing yards per game to opposing offenses, which was dead last in the NFL. But like I said, they added a few guys in free agency to help with that, so I think all you can hope for out of this unit is for them to keep improving. And if they can do that, and the offense is top 10 to even top 15 in the league, then I really do think the Cardinals can at least be in the race for a playoff spot. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, I will see you all later.